the home team that is already supposed to be the better team with home court advantage, usually, like, if it's some crazy stat, like 80-90% of the time, they will cover the line in game two because they're not going to go down 0-2. They're not going to lose. Most likely, they're not going to lose two straight games at home. So when you're betting on basketball, today's game with the Miami Heat, they already won game one on the road. Game two is also on the road in the Boston Garden. If I was betting, I would say the best thing to do would be bet on the Boston Celtics to cover whatever spread it is, even if it's 10, 12 points. But also at the same breath, Jimmy Butler, my favorite basketball player in the current NBA, I'm cheering for him. So I'm not going to bet against him either way. I'm cheering for the Heat. And this is one of those moments where Jimmy Butler, his whole career, he's kind of been on borrowed time, as the expression goes. He wasn't supposed to be here. And I see him at the end of these like close games. He's so clutch with 3-point shots, with free throws. And there was a close game a week or two ago, and he had to make 2 free throws, and there was like no time on the clock. And I looked at him, and normally an expert in nonverbal communication. So I can normally look at a person and see if they're sweating, see if they're stressed, and normally a player does not want the ball at that moment. They don't want to go in the free throw line in front of everybody and shoot the shots. But I noticed with Jimmy Butler, he wanted the ball. He wanted to take those free throws. And that's something that you don't see in sports, but it's kind of like he's on borrowed time. Jimmy Butler is one of the few professional athletes that spent some of his life homeless. I mentioned him yesterday. There's a famous Sports Illustrated article talking about how he grew up. And at a certain age, Jimmy Butler's biological mother looked at him and said, "I don't like the looks of you. You got to go." And he found himself homeless. From what I gathered from the story, he lived at a few different places, including a laundromat. And one of his friend's parents took him in and made him one of their own kids. And that's who he considers who his mom is and who his family is. It's not the person that his biological mother. And I could really relate to that because even though I had a decent mother, she wasn't in my life growing up, in our kids' lives growing up, and our father, my supposedly biological father, didn't care for me and my brother at all, and he didn't like the looks of us either. But the Jimmy Butler story goes even further. He's the most unorthodox professional athlete I've seen, but not in a way that Antonio Brown is. He's very respectful, and like I said, his whole career he's been on borrowed time. He wasn't a star athlete in high school. He wasn't the first pick in the draft. He went to school at Marquette. He just slipped into the NBA, maybe late first round pick, and he wasn't supposed to be a superstar. He's on borrowed time, and the Heat team as well, they're kind of on borrowed time. And so this is the perfect game for them to win. If they win the first 2 games on the road, it would really put them in a great position to make it to the NBA Finals and be only the first or second team, I believe, to ever 8 seed